Hi, this is Bob Lichtman. I'm very privileged to be your Federation's Chief Jewish Learning Officer. I've been troubled by this question for a long time. The question is, why does the beginning of this week's Parshat Vayigash frame the beginning of the story? It really belongs, in my mind, to the end of last week's story, where the brothers come down, they meet Joseph, they confront each other. And the beginning of this story is how Judah stands up for the rest of his brothers. He says, we're one family, we're in this together. You can't divide us, we're united. And that's all very well and good, but that's really the solution to what happened last week. Why did we have to wait a whole week to hear the ending of this story? And I think the answer is, and I get it now, is because it's not really only the ending of last week's story, it's the beginning of a new story that starts in this week's Parshat Vayigash. It's the story of the Jews coming down to Egypt and resettling in the land of Egypt, in a land that is called Goshen. The Torah talks no less than 9 times about this beautiful, lush district that this Jewish family is settling in. And it's the beginning of the story of the ascent of Jews to become noble citizens of Egypt and ultimately descending to becoming outcasts and slaves. It's the story of the Exodus. It's the story that we read at the Passover Seder. Once upon a time, the story goes, we lived in the land of Goshen. The land of Goshen maybe is not so long ago, not so far away. Every once in a while, I take a look at this letter. I bring it out at the Passover Seder in my family sometimes, written by a man in 1983. He talks about his pride as being an American Jew, as I feel pride. This is what he says. He says, my homeland is America. This is my country, and I stake my all on it. Now, I love this country too. My parents came here after World War II as a refuge, just like the Jews from the land of Canaan went down to the land of Goshen as a refuge of the famine that plagued that area. But what happened when the Jews went down to the land of Goshen was, at some point, the society changed, and Jews became enslaved, and we suffered terribly. Once upon a time, we lived in Goshen. The man who wrote this letter, by the way, lives in a town in Connecticut called Goshen. And so the reason we tell this story at Passover is because we have to remind ourselves and remind our children to look around and wonder, where are we living? Now, America is a beautiful, beautiful country, but it's flawed, just like a lot of beautiful things are. And so we have to take a look around every once in a while and ask ourselves, where are we? Are we in the land of Goshen? And if we recognize the signs that we are, all we need to do is what Judah said at the beginning of this parsha, at the beginning of this story. We are in this together. We are one united community. We are one united family. And that, if nothing else, defines the mission of your federation. That also, if nothing else, defines who we are as Jews. Because most of us are descendants of Judah. And that's why we are called Jews. And so I wish you with this sentiment a very beautiful and peaceful Shabbat Shalom.